right here. You can see it right there. Pretty beautiful colors. Fiber optic is light that travels through glass. See, you got the glass cables and the light travels through it. And I always thought it strange that they would rush to get the fiber optic out into the countryside. There were grants by the, I don't know, government or something. We got to get this fiber optic out there to the people. And so thus the fiber optic is out in the country, and that's what I use. I use fiber optic. I don't use 5G. 5G is cell phone technology. And where I'm at in the country, the towers are blocked by the hills that are around me. So no, I don't got cellular service. I have crappy, terrible cellular service if I'm not connected to my home network right here because the cell towers are all the way away. But fiber optic, can fiber optic spy on you? I was looking up 5G and all this kind of stuff, but no, this is what spying movement. Look at this, you all. Spying movement of humans above ground using underground fiber optics. And I thought, now wait a minute. How can that be possible? Spying and fiber optics, it doesn't need electricity. Okay, it does not need it. And good morning, everyone. I could not believe this, but technology is really, really advanced, super advanced. It's really, it's something. Look at this, scientist at Penn State University, right here. You can see it. In the neighboring town of a state college were quiet due to the pandemic last spring. Listen to this. A group of university researchers installed a 2.5 mile underground fiber optic telecommunications cable across the campus, and they converted it into a kind of a scientific surveillance experiment, is what they did. A surveillance experiment. They were able to detect the vibrations from above ground by shining a laser through the fiber optics due to the small deformation of the wire. It's super, super thin. It's like hair thin, the fiber optic cables. So the ground would send a seismic signature as a car rode across the surface or as a person walked by. The scientists were able to construct an accurate picture of how a once bustling community came to a halt when the pandemic started and slowly came back to life after the lockdown. We're talking about the lockdown was lifted without having to look at the ground. Buenos dias, Stormy. Buenos dias. So this is really interesting. I would have never thought that. Would you had thought that, you all, that you could actually spy on something like that? And then I thought, this is really wild. It is kind of wild if you think about it. The movement stopped. Why would they even think about doing such an experiment as that? Really think about it. Why would they? Running a line of fiber optic cable and doing that. They knew when you were moving. They knew when anybody walked on the ground in that area. They knew when a car would do it. They knew when a human would do it. They could not pinpoint exactly who it was. They said your cell phone tracker on your cell phone, that could identify you a lot better than that. But this was back in around 2020 when they did this experiment. You all listen to this. Look, they could see that when the lockdown started in April, the foot traffic on the campus practically stopped and stayed that way until June. From April to June, it practically stopped. Everybody, did what they were told, stay in. It was perfect conditions for a scientific experiment. And I guess if you're in a university and you're scientists and you're doing that, it's the perfect time for you to run your experiment. Run down that cable. How did they know? Think about it. Think about it. How did they know to lay down that cable ahead of time and do it? How would they know? How would you know to lay down that fiber optic cable? Because it takes a little bit of time, not too long. I guess they could get it, buried in the ground, and then they can lay it in one day and then have somebody. It takes hours to hook it up. It does. Look at that. Fiber optic in the ground, 2.5 mile stretch on a campus from April to June. And they were able to track the movement above ground, wherever it was. It was the signal's frequency. Good morning from Michigan, Dragonfly. They were able, the signal's frequency is more precise. It says the vibrations produced by humans, by the human footstep, was 1 to 5 hertz. 1 to 5 hertz. It's wild. 1 to 5 hertz, where a car traffic is 40 to 50 hertz. Vibrations from construction equipment exceeded 100 hertz. Look, how does it work? How does it work, you all? Look at this. Fiber optic cables work by properly, they capture the light pulses and they transfer them into signals over long distances. When a vehicle, when a vehicle or individual passes overhead, the vibration causes the disruption or imperfection in which the little amount of light reflects back of the source. And the Penn State researchers could flash a laser down a single fiber optic strand, just one strand, and there's lots of strands. And they could quantify the vibrations at different lengths of the cable by estimating the time it took to be dispersed, the dispersed light to travel, because the speed of light is known. Distributed acoustic sensing, or DAS, is the name given to the approach in the geoscience, you all. They based it, they were, look, that's wild, you all. It says researchers might use fiber optic cables to follow the movement of pedestrians and automobiles instead of digging through their cell phone location data. However, the technology is unable to precisely identify a vehicle or a person. It can't do that, but they can see where there's movement. They can see where there's movement. Look, even though they wanted to, you may want to track somebody as they walk across a metropolis. You'd have to stroll along the cable. Your movement would have to be along the cable where the cable was at, so they could get it. So they could get your movement, because they lose your seismic signal as soon as you went away from that cable. So I wonder if they could boost the seismic signal on the fiber optic. You can't pin it. You're better off, they say, using a pair of binoculars at that point. They got dark fiber. Think about dark fiber, you all. Using fiber optics to track you. Good morning, Kelly Toro. Using, hello, good morning, Kelly Nicole. Using fiber optic, the dark fiber, the use of, look at this, you all. Dark fiber, where we at? Because of dark fiber, the use of DAS has recently exploded across sciences. Telecom firms began putting down a lot of fiber optics as the internet expanded in popularity in the 90s. So this has been happening for a while. Composites, companies more, they established more than they required for the preparation. Look at that. Oh, you got this? You got to be kidding. Companies established more than they required in the preparation for the web. For the web. Boom, because the cable itself is very expensive. So Wow, they laid down more than they needed because the cable is very expensive compared to the work that is required to drill the holes to lay it. A great quantity of fiber still unused. Okay, it was still unused. The dark, it can be rented out for scientific studies. So since the 90s, you see that? Where are we at right there, Gina? Since the 90s, companies established more than they required in preparation for the web boom, because the cable itself is very expensive and they have unused dark fiber. It can be rented out to scientists. If it's so expensive, why would they lay so much back then? Really think about it. Where did the money come from? They just laid it and it was unused. Sounds like it was preparing for the web to track your movements. Gina, honey, this is really strange. You really stretching it now. No, these scientists just so happen to have a thought in their head. Let's do an experiment. Let's lay down this fiber optic cable on this campus in, was it Pennsylvania? Is that where we were at? Were we in Pennsylvania, you all? Penn State University. I think that's where we were. Yeah, Penn State University. The scientists all of a sudden decided, hey, let's lay down this fiber optic cable, 2.5 mile, and let's see if we can do a scientific surveillance experiment. Look at that. And they just so happened to have the lockdown that occurred from April to June. It was perfect conditions to do their study. Perfect. They got what they needed. The vibrations, they were able to distinguish between the footsteps of a human, which is 1 to 5 hertz, as opposed to a car, which is, 40 to 50 hertz, and heavy machinery is like exceeds 100 hertz. Exceeds it. They could track it as long as you were around that line of traffic. But the moment you got off of that area where the fiber optic was, they couldn't really track you. They couldn't pinpoint exactly who it was. You couldn't be walking over it. Oh, this is Gina. She's walking across here when we're in a lockdown. No, because you ain't got no way to track it, to identify who I am. But what if one day they have the ability to do that? So if they could do that out in the city, they can track the people in the city. When you're supposed to be in lockdown, you better not be traveling, because that signal through the fiber optic, you know they're going to use it. They're going to use it, or they would not have done it. They're going to track it. So now it's out into the country. It's a lay fiber optic all through all the countryside of the United States. Get it out there into these areas. Now you can be tracked in the country. You think you're safe out in the country, but if there's been fiber optic that's been laid along the main roads and stuff, and they do a lockdown and you're moving, they're going to be able to track you in the future. It's going to send that signal, and they're going to find out, you all. They're going to find out, because you're not off the grid, even though you're in the country, more or less. No, no, they see they're going to get you. They're going to spy on you. Happy hump day to you too, El Solo. So, in this case, they don't really need, they don't need the cell phone towers, because you got the underground thing. It's a different, it's light. Look, we got dark fiber. Dark fiber. Look, it's dark matter, dark fiber. See, isn't that interesting? Because of dark fiber. Look, they going into rural Nevada on a long journey, and they laid it down. Perhaps more that you can use. He adds, look, lots of contention, New Jersey. They published it, you all. Look at this one. This cable, unlike the standard size ohmmeters, is affordable. There's another table, is affordable, and it does not require a power supply. What doesn't require a power supply? This cable, fiber optic, doesn't require a power supply. glass. It's light. Light travels. Um, Unlike the standard seismometers. Now, now they're going to use it for, earthquakes and stuff. It says with DAS. What was DAS? I don't know what it meant. All you need is a device. All you need is a device. Oh my gosh. Look, you want to know what they named the device? What did they name the device that they're going to use? All you need is a device called, what is the device called? It's called the interrogator. A device called the interrogator, you all, that will shoot a laser and receive the data sent through the fibers. Ajo Franklin explained that whether you want to conduct measurements of earthquakes, surface waves, or urban mobility, that means movement, or is there any movement? This is a fantastic opportunity. For example, previously used a 17-mile stretch of black fiber near Sacramento to track 7 months of strong and mild earthquakes. They're already being used by civil engineers to examine soil deformation. Biologists are employing offshore fiber optic connections to listen to the whales because sound travels like a vibration. In terms of applications, it's really exploding. Taking temperatures, measurements, they embed fibers into glaciers. They can tow them behind boats in the free water column. It's a remarkable combination of technology. So the next time you are out for a walk, they're telling you right now, listen, now this is serious. The next time you are out for a walk, take a moment and appreciate the science that's going on beneath your feet. That's what it said. Appreciate the science beneath your feet, which is fiber optic, dark fiber, and the interrogator. The interrogator. You need to appreciate it as you're out walking, you all. They mean it. They mean it. I didn't know this about it. It doesn't need electricity. So grid down, no problem. No problem. If the grid was to go down, they can still track you with movements because it doesn't need electricity at all. It really doesn't, if you think about it. Good morning, Susan B. Honey. Um, yeah, if you're all just tuning in, this is wild. It doesn't require electricity. It doesn't. Yeah, it does make sense to me to run all the fiber optic out into the country. It's easy to run it into the cities, and just think in the 90s, the companies were laying down an excessive amount in the 90s. And then Penn State just so happened to lay, was a mile and a half or 2.5 mile fiber optic down during the lockdown. Yeah, Penn State University and the neighboring town of the state college were quiet due to it starting. So they did a 2.5 mile underground fiber optic telecommunication cable. They laid it down across the campus and converted it into a kind of scientific surveillance equipment. They did. Somebody paid them to do that. Somebody paid for that experiment. They did. They sponsored it so that they can get what they needed. Yeah. When was this article? I don't know when this article was. I can't find a date on it. That's really strange. Why can't I find a date on this article? Oh, here it was right here. It was written right here. July the 3rd of 2021. So they got their data that they needed with that. They can track your movements. They cannot pinpoint who you are But if you move, they're going to know, because light travels. They know what the speed of light, how fast the speed of light travels. It's kind of a step up, you all. Which, when the internet goes down here, we were told if the internet goes down, you'll still have fiber. What they did, I've got fiber running to my home out here in the country. And when they laid it, they just took like this machine with a big blade. They had a big roll of cable on the back of it. And they threaded the cable through the machine, through the blade. You know what a chainsaw blade looks like? Okay, how it looks? Just imagine a chainsaw blade without the chain on it. But imagine the cable going down through the groove of a chainsaw blade on the back of a machine like that you can drive, and it's put into the ground. And as it slices through the ground, like you would take a shovel, a spade, and use your foot to make a trench, just split the ground open. Well, that's what this machine does. It lowers itself like a chainsaw blade. The spool of cable, it runs on it, and as it cuts through the ground, the cable is then laid in the crevice that is created. There's no pile up of dirt or anything. There isn't. And they run it to your house. The one thing they had to do was put like a 6-foot copper rod into the ground, is what they had to do, which they couldn't get very far where we're at because of like bedrock. And then they take it through your house, put the little box. Okay, I don't know why would they need a copper rod? I guess because it's attached to your house electricity for something, whatever. I don't know what it is. But there's a battery, like a little motorcycle battery in the box, that if the electricity goes out, you've got 10 hours of, electricity that fiber optic would be useful. After that, I guess if you don't have some kind of electricity on your end to use it, it's weird, you all, but that's how they do it. But now that they can, you're supposed to appreciate the science beneath your feet as you're strolling out in the city, down a sidewalk or something, because it's look at this. I want you to look at this, you all. Please look at this. Look at these references. Wired.com, how underground fiber optics spy on humans moving above. Nasazi.com, how they do it. And then the Daily Advent, I don't know who these places are, how underground fiber optics spy on humans moving above. Look, magnetic nanopower is obtained by scientists. Oh my gosh, now they got for 6G technology. Oh my gosh, 6G technology with magnetic nano powder? That's kind of wild, you all. Gina, honey, quit pointing your phone up there to the ceiling. So it started off me looking through the comments, and this person, Gina, do you got 5G? Because when we did the video last night of Prince William's hands, they looked like they had something on them. They were severely distorted, and his hands weren't moving at that moment. No, that was literally something else going on. You shouldn't have all of that cluster. You would have had a smearing, not a big glob of stuff on his hands. You could check that video out. He had a big glob on his hand, he did, in the video that what stuck on his hands, you all, is what it was. There was something stuck on his hands, and it looked kind of not too nice, you all. It didn't look really good at all. That's how I ended up on it. Gina, do you have 5G? Because I guess the individual was wanting to know if you got 5G, then that's why you got that distortion on your thing. No, that's not why. His hands are distorted the way that they are, you all. See, you can't just look at one picture You really can't, because there's so much more to it than just that one picture. Right there, if his hands were moving at that time, you would have had streaks. You wouldn't have big globs and stuff like that. So that's how I came about that. That wasn't really the only time that that was happening either. Looked like a little heart in between there. Look at that, you all. Hello, Gina, honey. Hello. Yeah, so that's how I came about it. I was answering a comment, and then I ended up on that article. So that's how that happened. But yeah, you all, just because of that. Tamara, honey, what's happening? They wear them backwards. Yeah, so you all, if you did not see that video last night, it's right here. It's a live video. I was sitting here talking about it with his hands that looked really distorted. I couldn't find anything with his face, and I really couldn't find anything with his hands except at a certain movement. I had to go frame by frame. Otherwise, his hands were perfect. You wouldn't notice anything different if you hadn't been looking at it, you all. But this is clearly, no, there was something wild going on right there. So I didn't know that about 5G. So even if the grid goes down, they can track your movement. They can, because it's fiber optic. And the only way you would be able to escape that, and you probably wouldn't even be able to escape being spied on, even in the hills in the country, way back in the remote areas. They got drones now. They wouldn't be able to track your underground movement. They wouldn't, because they wouldn't feel that they can't get the cable up through wooded areas and stuff like that. They can't. But I guess maybe nano dust or something, excuse me, might get something like that. It might. It might. It's it certainly is something to be aware of, you all. So no, I don't have cell phone connectivity out where I live. A terrible, terrible signal. I don't get it until I go into the city, and only certain parts of the city, because they just don't have the infrastructure built up. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. The wind bloweth where it lieth. I like this. I like this. I like that. I remember that. Let me read it. The wind bloweth where it lieth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. I do like to read from what you quoted. I do. It's peaceful. You are fully aware now, Tamara, honey. Yes. Satellite. Oh, salute to you all. So yeah, you all, we can do it. And what we're seeing in these videos, and you can't really see whatever. No, it's not due to poor bandwidth or nothing. I'm not sure. I'm really thinking that when you see videos like that, that's Prince William. He's got his shirt unbuttoned, and it's kind of improper. But what if we're seeing CGI? Really, what if we are? What if that's what's going on? Really, what if it is? Because it looks like something like that is going on in the digital world. It does. And would you really be surprised? Because I wouldn't be surprised at all, you. I wouldn't at all. That's why we got to be careful, because what you hear on TV is not always the truth at all. It's not. You can't believe everything you see either. That's not his movements, and it wouldn't make sense. You can't really just take one video that was done. You can't. If you think about it, you cannot go by one video and just say, well, it's all like that. No, it's not all like that. It's something much deeper that's playing out. It really is, on a massive scale, and it's only the half of it. It's only the half of it is what it is. You know what they did right here? Look at this. The algorithm did that. The artificial intelligence did that right there. I thought, wow. Is Obama's mouth shape shifting? Oh, shoot. I didn't want to go there. It was really cool what they did. How we were zooming up on that. It looked like he had the strands coming from the side. But when you hover over it, look what the computer itself did. I did not do that. I thought, wow, that's intelligence at work. To be able to think about this. How would Google know to put that side by side like that? That to me, there's no way I could have done that, but they did it. They choose when there's movement, it's the Google thing that chooses to do that. Okay, even like with this right here, they choose, I guess, what they want to choose. They do. And the cubes, we got these cubes all in the air. See this right here? These cubes are satellites. The smallest is like 10 centimeters and even smaller. They are put up into orbit by like a rocket. They are into orbit and dispersed across the skies around the world. And they gather data. They spy on you too. They spy on you, you all. They spy on you. That's what they do. So there's a lot that's going on, you all. There is a ton. Hello. The computer put the snake there. Susan B. Honey, yes, it did. It put it there. I did not do that. All I did, I used that in my video to try to find out what I was trying to in this video, Susan Honey, listen. I was trying to, when I did that video of him, when I saw that right there on the side of his mouth, I thought that reminds me of a snake. So I went on to the images on Google and I was trying to see if I could find a stretch of a snake's skin that would match, but that was somewhere in the middle of the video, and Google itself put that there. When you hover over it, I have no control over when there's movements like that. None. They did it. And I thought, wow, they did do it. And just like him, it just shows him sitting there. They choose whatever they want. I guess so a person can get a broader picture of what they're looking at, really. And then this right here, I don't know what this does. It just, I guess, look how many images it gave over one period of time when you hover over it. It's like shows you everything at once, not just, this is supposed to be Prince Charles, and you know it doesn't look. And no, that's not due to the computer. There's something going on. But we're being spied on through the fiber optic. There was an experiment done by Penn State University during the lockdown, which occurred in April through June. And they stretched a 2.5 mile, I think it was, a fiber optic on the campus. And the traffic slowed down practically to a halt. And then they were able to see when the foot traffic did. And when a vehicle went over that area, they could tell whether it was a car vehicle. They could tell whether a human footstep, which is 1 to 4 hertz of walking, and a car vehicle is like around 40 hertz, and a heavy machinery that would have went down the road was like above, 400 hertz or 100 hertz or something like that, you all. So they could track the movement, and they can use it with earthquakes, and it doesn't need energy source. They have a piece of equipment they can hook up to it for the fiber optic, and it's called the interrogator. They hook up this equipment called the interrogator, which detects movement, which is sent through the light. So it was, wow, it's like dark fiber and the interrogator. So it doesn't matter if you're going to try to go through grid down thinking, oh, they can't track us now. If you got fiber optic going where you're at, they're going to track your movement. They are. But that's yeah. Oh, the hangies. That's wonderful. Your smoke alarm is 100% tracking. Yeah. I didn't know they would have technology like that, but now I know. I know. They're still laying fiber optic. They're trying to reach the most remote parts of countryside. They are. The most remote areas. So everybody, and they're laying it for free. If you do not take them up on their initial offer, fiber optic coming to your house, when you do decide to do it and their initial free offer is over because the government is paying them money, then you will pay out of your pocket. You'll pay for the labor and you'll pay for the fiber. You'll pay for the hookup out of your pocket if you don't take them up on the first time they are initially laying the fiber optic out to your homes. Yeah. Bridget, honey, what's happening? Oh yeah. Christine, honey, hello. So it is kind of serious, but look at this. Magnetic nano power. Now let's look at this. Oh, this is what magnetic, this is the periodic table, I guess, the symbol or whatever of magnetic tape, magnetic nano powder is obtained by the scientists for 6G technology. Oh, look, we got a cubic right here. There's its Fe is its whatever. Then we got an orthothrombotic that reminds me of there's thrombuck, something with a, clotting or something. That word reminds me of that. It really does. I can't even say the word since we're on it. Iron oxide polymorphs, increasing temperature, narrow temperature range, orthothromboke. I've heard of hematite, red pigment. Why do you need red pigment? Think about it. Why would you need red pigment? A hexagonal. This is strange for 60 nano powder. Moscow State University. Look at that in Moscow. Institute of Physics and Technology Materials scientists have developed a quick process for synthesizing epsilon iron oxide. Iron oxide? Isn't iron oxide from Nibiru? Is that what it's from, Nibiru? The iron oxide, the red dust? When we see the red dust in the air? It's a type of crystal too? Wow. Synthesizing epsilon iron oxide, which has shown a potential for application in next generation communication devices. Wow. Its exceptional magnetic properties make it one of the most sought after materials for the next generation 6G communication equipment and highly reliable magnetic reading or recording systems. It's an inorganic compound. Iron 3 oxide, sometimes known as ferric oxide. Wow. Look at this. Well, iron is a metal, iron, which is Fe, that's the symbol or whatever, is a metal. Oxygen, which is O2. So we learned something about the periodic table. That's how you see O2, you know you're talking about oxygen. You see Fe, you know they're talking about iron. Oxygen is a non-metal. As a result, such bonds are referred to as an ionic bond. Acids have a easy time attacking. Rust is a common name for iron oxide. Wow, look at that. Rust is a common name for iron oxide. I did not know that. And if Nibiru has iron oxide in it, it's rust. It's rust. That's interesting. It really is. So they need that for, look, talking about this, look, there is a radiation, electromagnetic radiation in the sub-terahertz frequency range of 100 to 300 hertz, whereas 5G employs tens of gigahertz. The sixth generation 6G wireless technology, which is being readied for active adoption in our lives from the early 2030s, is expected to employ the sub-terahertz range as a working range. Look at that. Nano powders absorb the electromagnetic waves, will be able to shield rooms from unwanted signals and safeguard the signals from outside interception will be possible. Wow, it will be employed. Well, they said by 2030, what did the World Economic Forum say? By the 2030s, by 2026, or was it 2030, they will upload the rest of the human population when you have the cell phone chip in your head, be able to upload them to the world, to the Neuralink. Bring them online. They specifically said bring them online, and they're going to do it with this right here. The sixth generation wireless technology, active adoption in our lives, what's remaining of the human beings that are left. And we have iron oxide, which is rust. Another name for rust, which also happens to sound like Nibiru, like that red dust floating in the air. It's magnetic. Can you imagine getting that in your body? It will be, look at this. At these frequencies, the resultant materials can be used to make conversion units and absorber units, utilizing composites. This, of course, prohibits widespread application. The study authors devise an accelerated synthesis method for epsilon iron oxide that reduced the synthesis time to just a day. Just a day! To finish a full cycle more than 30 times faster, also increasing the quantity of the finished product. The method is straightforward to replicate, inexpensive, and easy to deploy in industry, and the materials that are needed for synthesis, iron and silicone, are among the most abundant elements on the planet. There you go. You got it. Wow, you all. They can't wait to get their hands on the 6G phone. Yes, that's right. Wakey, wakey. Yeah. And I saw today, when I was looking at the Pentagon press briefings, there was a press briefing yesterday where they're going to push for 3,300 to 3,400 gigahertz bandwidth now. And China's already doing it too. They're all doing it together. They're all doing this together to be put out there worldwide. It's all together. Together, let's make music together. Let's make sweet harmony. Let's make music together, baby. You be the whatever. You know that song on one of these cartoons when he says, let's make music together. All dogs go to heaven. Is that what that is? All dogs go to heaven? I think it was. Gina, honey, you got the wrong cartoon. That's okay. We got magnetic nano powder attained by scientists for the 6G, and silicone, and what's the most, let me see. Okay. Iron and silicone are among the most abundant elements on the planet, and they can make it happen. Grand rising. Yes, grand rising, you all. So yeah. So they can spy on you with the fiber optic cable. It doesn't matter if the grid is down, spying movement of humans above ground using the underground fiber optics. They did a study at Penn State University when there was lockdown occurring. They ran a line. They won. Well, how a 2.5 mile underground fiber optic cable and converted it into a scientific surveillance equipment, and they were able to see who it was and how does it work. They have they use dark fiber is what they do, and they made a thing called the interrogator that can find out for you. Okay, they can find out right there. That's what they use. The interrogator, which is shoots a laser through the fiber optic and they see the movements. That's how it is. That's exactly how it is, you all. They got it going. Yeah. There are elements that we don't even know yet. Yes, you all, we got it. We got it. Grand rising, you all. So I'm going to go. You all, please give this video a thumbs up. And these other videos, there's a lot of strange things happening in our world. A lot of change, a lot of change. Look, these scientists, when they did their scientific experiment, they were able to sample almost 2,000 places along the 2.5 miles of cable. They could sample 2,000 different places where that cable ran. One every 6.5 feet. 6.5 feet using that method. They used registers. This is for a typical seismograph. Yeah, but they use that. Look, in June the 20th is when the state college companies began to reopen and they did their experiment. Yeah. So I'm going to go. I am. And with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello, from my heart to yours. Love you. Have a wonderful rest of your morning. You all make it a productive morning. I hope you get a lot of things done. I really do. And we don't got time to sit around and twiddle our thumbs like that. You all, we don't. You know what I should do? I should do a video with my camera twiddling my thumbs like that. And I should record it and make my movements and see if I can duplicate all these strange movements that we're seeing on the computer of famous people. I should do that. I should do a live scientific experiment. I really should. I have the technology. I have the technology at my fingertips to do it. That's right. And see how big of a distortion we could get to see if I could do it. I think that sounds like a plan. Do an online, a live scientific experiment. Oh, I will do it. I hope to do it. I really do hope to do it because that would be really nice. It would. Maybe we can do that later today, maybe for our video. Yeah, to see if we can see how much distortion we get. Now watch them say, okay, we're going to get her now. We're going to make sure we're here when she's live and we're going to try to interrupt that communication. Yes, that's right, you all. I think it really does sound like a plan because really, why wouldn't I? If I'm picking it up on those, will it work on me? Will it? Will it? I'll just be like moving my hands like that, and I'm not going to be going like this, like, karate fighting and stuff like that. I'm not going to be doing that because I don't think they're doing that. They're just doing normal movements. I'm going to do that. I am. It sounds like a plan. It does. So I'm going to go. You all have a wonderful rest of your morning. So we're going to do that. Yeah, unless my electricity goes out. That's right. Willie can examine our hands. Yes, let's go on. Let's go up there. That's right. Jesus is King. Get on a spaceship. as long as it's of the light, as long as it's of God, as long as it is pure love frequency, absolutely we can go. We don't want to get on something that's got a low vibration, which any is below 150 hertz is a low vibration. That's where anger occurs, 150 and below, really low vibrating human. Okay, love you all.